I'm Danielle, and I'm bisexual, and I produce those intimate stories for restless hearts, those ones that make you question everything and think, those ones that make you sometimes wanna drink.
Welcome to another episode of the Amir McCoy Project Audiodrama Podcast. I'm your host, Danielle. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. If you've missed it, here's your chance to catch up on AJ. This is the entire play in one place. We hope you've enjoyed this program. If you have, please feel free to subscribe and share. Seriously, it makes the candle burn brighter. Until next time, peace and blessings to everyone. This is your host, Danielle, saying farewell for now. So here we are, back in Paris, the city of romance. What if, instead of enjoying your life, you discover, a bit later on, that you've just been performing, that you've been putting on a show that you hope others will admire? What if you've been living for other people's approval for so long that when you finally meet the man of your dreams, it all seems impossible? Antoine and Julien have been married for 20 years. They've raised kids. They've been living on this sweet, highly artificial validation of others their whole lives. But they've always known, always, since the very beginning.
There are hours in a man's life that do not announce themselves until much later. Hours that seem ordinary as they unfold, yet leave fingerprints on everything that follows. Julien often wondered in the years afterward whether the moment he first met Antoine had already set the world slightly off its axis. He had walked into the gallery on a rainy Thursday, umbrella dripping, shoulders tense from the week. Antoine had been standing before a portrait of a woman staring at her own reflection, as though caught between two selves. Julien remembered thinking he'd never seen someone look at art the way Antoine did, with an ache, a longing, as though searching for a version of himself hidden in the brushstrokes. They exchanged only a nod, then a few words about the artist. But even then, before the dinners, before the stolen glances, before the quiet hours and the terrible choices, Julien felt something shift. A small, quiet gravity. He didn't yet know it would follow him home, that it would reshape his life, that it would destroy it, or that it would save him. On Rue d'Austerlitz, the hour just before dusk had a way of softening everything in Paris. Edges, tempers, truths. The pale curtains breathed in and out with the rhythm of the warm evening breeze, glowing amber in the fading light. Dust hung in the air like tiny, drifting confessions, too light to fall. In the center of that gilded quiet stood Julien. He pressed a cigarette to his lips with the air of someone trying to keep his hand steady, the ember glowing briefly against the dim room. The smoke curled upward, dissolving near the open window. Outside, the murmur of the street rose and fell like the tide, distant, indifferent. Behind him, Antoine watched. He had arrived only minutes earlier, though Julien hadn't turned to greet him. Antoine stood barefoot on the creaking wood floor, shirt forgotten somewhere on the way in, wearing only a dark blazer that hung open over his bare chest. He looked like a man who had rushed out of a life he wasn't sure he wanted back.
Do you ever put it out, or does it just burn itself to death?
Julien didn't answer. He took another slow drag, eyes fixed on the window, on rooftops washed in honeyed light, on anything but the man behind him. Antoine had seen him like this before. Tense jaw, sleeves rolled to the elbow, refusing to look at him because the moment he did, the truth would spill out, uncontrolled. And Julien was nothing if not contained.
You shouldn't be here.
That's never stopped me.
It was true. Antoine crossed rooms, countries, even entire versions of himself when Julien needed him, or when he wished he didn't. And he had come again tonight, just as the sun dipped behind the city, called by something Julien never said aloud. Julien let the cigarette hang between two fingers.
Someone might see you, and that can be a good thing for either of us. People talk.
People will talk everywhere.
Julien's breath caught, a small tremor nearly lost under the whisper of the curtains. He lowered his hand, studying the cigarette as though it were some fragile thing he might crush with a careless thought.
You are making this damn near impossible.
Julien whispered.
I am not trying to make it harder. I am trying to make it real for us.
He stepped closer until the fading light brushed the line of his collarbone, casting long shadows against the wall. Julien finally turned. The sight of Antoine, bare chest rising and falling, curls mussed, mouth set with stubborn affection, sent something sharp and warm through him.
How did we get here?
Julien asked.
By lying. By pretending we were fine. By staring at each other across dinner tables with our wives and never breathing a word.
A muscle flickered in Julien's cheek, as if the truth had struck him physically. Antoine reached out, not touching him, not yet, just letting his hand hover near Julien's arm, close enough to feel the heat of him.
You left your shirt on the chair.
Julien said quietly, as though that observation alone might anchor him.
And you, sir, left your heart on the table the night I met you. I have been trying to give it back ever since.
Julien's breath shook. The cigarette finally slipped from his fingers, landing soundlessly on the wooden floor. Neither man moved to pick it up. The sun dipped lower, leaving only the amber glow of the room, the hush of the street below, and the weight of everything they had not said. Antoine stepped closer.
Tell me to go, mon cher, and I will.
Julien closed his eyes, but he didn't speak.
Rue du Bas, Paris, 3 nights later. Julien had always believed that there were two kinds of dinners in life. The ones where people ate, and the ones where people performed. The dinner at the Fournier residence that Friday evening belonged to the latter category. Crystal glasses arranged with military precision, napkins folded like origami birds, conversation clipped and sparkling, just like the sophisticated chandeliers that hung from the ceiling. Julien's wife Claire stood by the window, greeting the guests with an elegance she carried with her even when she was exhausted. She smiled warmly, her earrings catching the light like sparkling stars in a midnight sky.
Lovely.
Julien wondered, not for the first time, if she knew more than she let on. She always had a way of knowing things without ever saying a word. Antoine arrived late. He had texted Julien earlier, running behind, "Don't let them open the wine without me." Julien had stared at the message too long, memorizing the curve of each letter before sliding his phone away as his wife walked past.
I just don't understand how I can be so happy but so unhappy at the same time. These parties are so boring. I want my whiskey, I want Antoine, I want to be sitting by a fire with him. My God, I can't have these thoughts. I'm married.
When the door finally opened and Antoine stepped into the room, Julien felt something shift. Not a dramatic lurch, but a quiet tightening, as though someone had pulled a thread inside him. Antoine wore a crisp shirt tonight, the sleeves rolled, hair still damp from a rushed shower. He looked almost too put together, as though he had worked very hard to appear like a man who was not unraveling. His wife Elise followed behind him, cheeks flushed from the chilled air outside. She looked effortlessly lovely, touching Antoine's arm as she thanked their hosts. Antoine smiled at her out of habit, not out of love. Julien could see the difference. He always could. They sat at a long oak table polished to a dazzling shine. Julien and Antoine ended up across from each other. By accident or by the cruel hand of fate, Julien could not say. Candles flickered between them, casting slender shadows over Antoine's face. Julien tried not to look too long, but he could feel it, that gravitational pull that neither one of them had ever found the way to escape. Their hostess launched into a story about renovations, her husband interrupting her to give incorrect details. The room rolled with polite laughter. Julien forced a smile. Claire touched his arm lightly.
You're quiet tonight. Is something wrong, my dear?
No, I'm just tired.
But his eyes drifted back to Antoine, and Antoine's, just for a moment, drifted back to his. Dinners like this were dangerous. Not because of the words spoken aloud, but because of everything that wasn't. Julien kept his hands on the table, his fingers interlaced loosely. Antoine mirrored the pose almost unconsciously. Their gestures matched in a dozen small ways neither their wives nor their friends noticed. But they noticed. Julien felt every inch of distance between them like a live wire. The last time they stood close, 3 days ago, Antoine's breath had warmed Julien's cheek, and Julien's whisper, "Don't go," had hung in the air like an unfinished prayer. He had replayed it every night since, and he suspected Antoine had done the same. When dessert arrived, a lavender creme brulee in delicate bowls, Antoine lifted his spoon and paused in midair. His gaze flicked up to Julien, for a second too long. It was nothing. It was everything. Julien's chest tightened. He swallowed hard, pretending the spoon in his hand was suddenly very interesting. Claire, noticing his distraction, leaned in.
Did you see the Fournier's new rug? It looks hideous.
Yes, and I bet it was expensive.
But Antoine was still watching him. His foot brushed Julien's under the table. An accident? It must have been. Except, it didn't feel like one. Julien stiffened. Antoine didn't move his leg away. Only when Elise reached for her wine glass did Antoine shift, breaking the contact. Julien exhaled, slow and controlled. Later, while the others talked about a weekend trip to Deauville, Claire stepped aside to take a call from her mother, and Elise excused herself to find the powder room upstairs. Julian stood near the bookshelves, staring at the spines without reading a single title. He sensed Antoine before he heard him.
You weren't breathing, mon amour.
I was, barely. But that's normal for dinners like this.
For you, maybe. I can only imagine.
My God, what are we doing?
Antoine stepped closer, close enough that the faint scent of his cologne, clean and woodsy, reached Julien's senses. Close enough that Julien could feel heat radiating from his body.
We are pretending. We are performing. Just like always.
Julien closed his eyes.
My God, every minute feels like lying.
That's because it is lying.
Julien forced himself to meet Antoine's gaze. Antoine's expression softened, warm, pained, unguarded.
You didn't tell me to go the other night.
Julien's chest constricted. He hadn't expected him to bring it up. He hadn't expected him to remember it so clearly.
I didn't have the strength.
Do you want me to go now?
It will kill me, but I would do it if that's what you want.
Julien's breath trembled. Before he could answer, footsteps approached. Elise's laughter chimed from the hallway. Claire's heels clicked against the hardwood as she returned. The room brightened with chatter and movement. And just like that, the moment slipped away, like it always did, like it always would unless one of them finally broke the pattern. Antoine stepped back, masking everything with a practiced smile. But Julien saw it, the hurt, the longing, the exhaustion of living two lives. When they left the party, the air outside was sharp and cold. Antoine held the door for Elise, who wrapped her arm around his. Julien watched the gesture, the casual intimacy, and wondered how such things could coexist with the truth he had seen in Antoine's eyes. Claire slipped her arm through Julien's.
You don't have to come to the Brisé dinner next week if you don't want to. You look 1,000,000 miles away tonight.
Julien forced a gentle smile, but his gaze drifted, unbidden, to Antoine standing by the street lamp, lit in gold and shadow. Antoine looked back just once, just long enough, and Julien felt something inside him shift with quiet inevitability, a decision forming, a truth rising, a storm coming. The following week, Paris, late evening. Julien had always hated the moment after returning home from a dinner party. The silence as he removed his shoes, the sudden absence of voices, the return to a life he had chosen long before he understood what choosing really meant. Tonight, the silence felt heavier than usual. Claire headed upstairs to change out of her dress. Julien paused in the entryway, staring at the faint imprint her heels had left on the rug. He wondered with a soft ache how many footprints a person could leave in another's life without ever realizing they were walking away. He loosened his tie, exhaled, tried to steady himself, but Antoine's eyes kept returning to him. Those long, searching looks across the dinner table, that brush of a leg that wasn't an accident, those few stolen words by the bookshelf. You didn't tell me to go. No. He hadn't. He didn't know how to. Julian climbed the stairs. Claire was brushing her hair in the mirror, her reflection soft, her expression calm.
How was your mother?
Dramatic, and only 90% necessary.
Julian smiled. Claire's humor always came when he least expected it, smoothing sharp edges without even trying.
Do you want tea?
She offered.
No, I'm all right.
She studied him, head tilted.
You're restless tonight, dear. Are you okay? I noticed you didn't say 2 words at the party.
Julian froze. Claire saw so much, too much. He forced a casual tone.
It was just a long week. Too many problems at work, too much on my mind.
She stepped closer, fingertips brushing his forearm.
You've seemed far away lately.
Julian's pulse stumbled.
Work. Just lots of work, you know.
A small lie, but heavy enough to shift the air in the room. Claire searched his face for a moment more. Then she kissed his cheek and turned down the bed.
Okay, love. Good night. Let me know if you need anything.
Deciding, generously, not to pry. Julian's chest tightened with guilt, so sharp he almost doubled over. He didn't deserve her gentleness. He didn't deserve any of this. Across the city, in a quiet apartment near Avenue Daumesnil, Antoine sat at the end of his bed, elbows on his knees, staring at the floorboards. Elise was in the bathroom washing her makeup off, humming lightly, a melodic sound, familiar, safe. Antoine wished he could feel her comfort the way he used to. He wished his heart would remember her with the same clarity it remembered Julian. But desire didn't negotiate. Neither did longing. He scrubbed a hand over his face. He'd barely spoken on the cab ride home. Elise had noticed. "Are you feeling all right?" she had asked, touching his leg. He had lied. Yes, just tired. It was the kind of lie that seemed harmless, until it wasn't. Later that night, when Claire fell asleep beside him, Julian slipped out of bed, bare feet on cold floor, heart too loud in his chest. He padded downstairs to his small office and sat at the old walnut desk. The lamp cast a warm circle of light over a stack of blank stationery he used only for the letters he never mailed. He uncapped his fountain pen and waited for the words to come. At first, nothing, then, "Antoine, I don't know how to stand so close to you without falling apart." He paused, staring at the ink glistening wetly on the page. He shouldn't write this. He knew he shouldn't. But he kept going. "Tonight at dinner, when you looked at me, I felt seen in a way I haven't felt in years. It terrifies me how much I need that." Julian's hand shook. He set the pen down, pressing his palms to his tired eyes. This wasn't a letter. It was a confession bleeding onto paper. A confession that could destroy 2 marriages, 2 families, and everything he had worked to protect. He folded the page once, then again. Then, because he wasn't ready to throw it away, he placed it in the drawer with the others. A small pile. A private record of everything he couldn't say aloud. Antoine lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Elise's warm breath curved across his shoulder. The soft glow of the street light slipped through the curtain and lit the room in pale amber. He reached for his phone. He shouldn't call Julien. Not at this hour. Not ever. Still, he unlocked the screen. His thumb hovered over Julien's name. He typed, "Are you awake?" He stared at it for a long moment, then he deleted it. Typed again. I'm still thinking about the other night. Delete, delete, delete. He put the phone face down on the nightstand, rolled onto his back, closed his eyes. But the truth pressed against his ribs, insistent and breathless. He was already losing the ability to pretend. And then, as if pulled by gravity or madness, Antoine rose from the bed. He slipped out quietly, grabbing the coat hanging near the door. He didn't wake Elise. He didn't leave a note. He stepped out into the cold night, breath fogging in the air, heart pounding with a reckless clarity. He walked 4 blocks, then 6, then 10, until he stood across from Julien's building, staring up at the windows glowing softly in the dark. His chest hurt. His hands shook. He wasn't sure what he was doing, but he knew why, because everything in him, every longing, every regret, every moment of restraint pulled him here, Julien. Julien, who would be sleeping or writing or torturing himself quietly in that softly lit office. Julien, who said, "Don't go," with a voice that had undone him. Antoine stood on the opposite sidewalk for a long time. The street was silent. The world was asleep. He whispered into the cold air, "Just tell me what to do." But the only answer was the rustle of wind against the leaves. Antoine closed his eyes. He didn't go inside. He didn't knock. He simply turned, slowly, painfully, and walked back into the night, leaving behind everything he wanted and everything he feared.
Here we are, confined on a midnight train leaving Paris. How romantic. Or not. Now they can't avoid the truth. And neither can Julien's wife, who finds a private letter at home.
Julien hated business trips. He hated them even more when they involved last-minute planning, crowded stations, and the sense of being swept somewhere he didn't want to go. But Claire had encouraged him gently that morning.
It'll do you good. It might clear your head and give you some fresh air.
He had nodded. He hadn't told her the reason he felt so scattered had nothing to do with work, and everything to do with Antoine. The train platform buzzed with commuters, students, tired parents, and strangers with suitcases. Julien stood near the departure sign for the Lyon train, checking his watch every 30 seconds. Antoine was late. Of course he was late.
Come on, Antoine. My God. This man is always late for everything. He will always wait until his arm has been cut off by the train door.
Julien told himself he didn't care. He told the knot in his stomach it was only work. He told the memory of Antoine standing beneath his window at midnight, a moment Julien didn't even know had happened, that it meant nothing. But when he saw Antoine weaving through the crowd, coat unbuttoned, curls tousled by the wind, something in Julien lifted, then sank again. Equal parts relief and longing, Antoine reached him slightly out of breath.
Sorry, beaucoup de trafic. And life. Mostly life.
Julien's lips twitched. That vague, Antoine shrugged helplessly.
It's been a week.
Julien could have said me too. He didn't. Instead, they boarded the train. Seats made for suffering. The train car was nearly full, leaving only one pair of seats together toward the back. 2 narrow seats, close enough that shoulders would brush if either of them breathed too deeply. Julien sat by the window, setting his briefcase on his lap like a shield. Antoine claimed the aisle seat, long legs folding awkwardly into the limited space. 5 minutes passed in silence, then 10. Julien watched Paris blur by, the city peeling back into countryside, then into wide stretches of winter fields. Antoine tapped his thumb lightly against his knee. An old nervous habit Julien had memorized long before he should have. Finally Antoine spoke.
Julien, you've been avoiding me.
Julien stiffened.
That's not true.
Oh, but I think it is.
It's complicated.
Antoine turned in his seat, studying him.
Everything is complicated, Julien. That's not an answer.
Julien kept his gaze on glass.
I thought giving us some space would help.
And did it? Help?
Julien's throat tightened. The truth pressed against his teeth.
No,
he said quietly. Antoine leaned back, exhaling.
Then why did you try?
because I am weak.
Julien whispered. Antoine's expression softened.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think you are scared.
Julien didn't deny it. The tilt of the world. An announcement crackled overhead. A jolt ran through the train as it sped faster, carrying them into the blue glow of early evening. Julien felt Antoine's gaze again. Steady, searching, unbearably gentle.
What are we doing?
Julien asked at last, voice raw. Antoine gave a soft laugh.
Avoiding the only real answer.
Julien turned sharply.
Which is? What do you want me to do?
Antoine didn't look away.
The real answer is that we are in love with each other.
Julien's breath stopped. The train hummed around them. Passengers laughed, read newspapers, sipped canned drinks, oblivious to the universe cracking open between two men in row 32. Julien felt something inside him collapse and expand at the same time.
Antoine, you can't say things like that.
But it's true.
Even so.
Julien, I think I've known it for a long time. Long before that night in your apartment.
Julien swallowed hard. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. He whispered,
But you can't love me.
Oh, but I can. And I do.
Julien pressed a hand to his forehead.
Then what are we supposed to do?
Antoine didn't speak for a moment. Then,
We start by telling the truth.
Julien let out a sound. Not quite a laugh. Not quite a sob.
The truth would tear everything down.
Maybe it should.
Antoine said. Julien stared at him. Antoine stared back. Something thick and electric settled between them, warm and terrifying. A dangerous proximity? The train lurched suddenly, sending Julien forward. Antoine reached instinctively, steadying him with a hand at his arm. Their bodies collided lightly, not enough to draw attention, but enough that Julien felt the heat of Antoine's palm through the fabric of his jacket. A small, sharp breath escaped him. Antoine didn't pull away, not immediately. Julien's heartbeat stuttered.
Antoine, you can't touch me like that.
I know,
Antoine whispered. But his hand lingered 1 second more, 2, 3, until Julien gently pulled free. The absence of that touch felt colder than the winter air rushing past the window. They didn't speak much during the rest of the ride, each man lost in his own storm. When the train finally pulled into Lyon, night had settled fully over the city. Most of the walk to the small hotel was silent. Only once did Antoine ask,
Are you okay?
Julien lied.
Yes.
They checked into 2 separate rooms on the same floor. The receptionist handed them their keys, smiling as though nothing unusual hung between them. Julien tried to steady himself. He couldn't. The truth Antoine had spoken kept echoing in his skull.
The real answer is that we are in love with each other.
He wished he could reject it. He wished it didn't feel like a key sliding into a lock that had been waiting years to open. Julien took a long, scalding shower, hoping it would drown out his thoughts. It didn't. When he lay down, he couldn't sleep. He heard soft footsteps in the hallway sometime after midnight. He knew without question it was Antoine. He knew because he felt it. There was a pause outside his door. A breath, a hand that didn't knock. Julien whispered into the dark,
Just come in.
But Antoine couldn't hear him. Or maybe he did. Maybe he chose not to. After a few long, painful seconds, Julien heard the soft sound of footsteps fading away. He closed his eyes and pressed his fist to his mouth to keep from calling out. The quiet between them tonight was unbearable. A silence shaped exactly like a kiss they still hadn't allowed themselves. And yet... At 2:17 a.m., Julien rose from the bed. He didn't put on shoes. He didn't think. He simply walked down the hall, drawn like a tide, helplessly, hopelessly. He stopped in front of Antoine's door, rested a hand against the wood, felt the warmth of the lamp burning inside. He knew Antoine was awake. They stood on opposite sides of the same door, neither able to cross. Julien whispered,
I can't keep doing this.
From the other side came a quiet, pained reply.
Then open the door.
Julien's breath trembled. His hand gripped the doorknob. He turned it, just an inch, then stopped. His voice broke.
I'm not ready.
Antoine exhaled shakily.
Okay then, I'll wait for you.
Julien closed his eyes. He rested his forehead against the door, the closest he had ever been to Antoine without touching him. They stood there for a very long time, close enough to hear each other breathe, close enough to feel each other's presence like a pulse, close enough to know that something between them had shifted irrevocably. When Julien finally walked back to his room, his legs felt unsteady, because he knew the truth now, clear and devastating. There would be no going back. Julian woke with the distinct sensation of having made a mistake. The morning light was thin and gray, seeping through the hotel curtains like a secret trying to escape. His mouth was dry, his heart beat uneven. For a moment he didn't remember where he was. Then he remembered everything. Standing outside Antoine's door, forehead pressed to the wood, Antoine's quiet voice.
Then open the door.
His own reply, shattering him.
I'm not ready.
He lay back against the pillow, staring at the ceiling. Readiness was irrelevant. Desire didn't ask for permission. A soft knock startled him. He sat up quickly. But it wasn't Antoine. It was housekeeping.
Bonjour. C'est l'entretien des chambres. L'hôtel est en travaux et on doit commencer, d'accord?
Oui, d'accord.
Julian exhaled, embarrassed at himself. He washed, dressed, and headed down to the lobby, praying his face didn't betray the night he'd lived, the choices he hadn't made, the ones he wanted to make too badly. Across the lobby, Antoine was already seated on a lobby couch, dark coffee in hand, flipping through emails. He looked composed, almost effortlessly so. But Julian noticed the tightness around his mouth, the faint tremor at the edge of his fingers, signs only he would notice. Their eyes met. The world narrowed. Antoine stood.
Bonjour.
He said softly, with a gentleness that made Julien's chest ache.
Bonjour.
Julian replied, avoiding the warmth in the word. They walked to the conference center together. Close enough Julian could feel the heat of Antoine's body, far enough to pretend they were only colleagues. It was a lie they both wore like a suit. The presentation work was a blur of numbers, slides, handshakes.
These numbers are the best we've ever seen. You can see here that we produce quality because the results are fantastic.
I need coffee.
Julian's work with the quality assurance
Moi
agents
aussi.
has been excellent, and Antoine has really added a magical touch with executive leadership to ensure a cohesive experience.
Long nights.
Oh, me too. Me too. I cannot wait until this meeting is over. That man's voice always puts me to sleep.
Oui, je suis d'accord.
Julian found himself speaking in polished sentences he couldn't remember forming. Antoine took over halfway through and spoke with his usual ease, but something in his voice was tighter, rougher at the edges. Afterward, their client shook Antoine's hand. "You two work so well together," the client said. Julian nearly laughed. He wanted to say, "If only you knew." But instead he nodded politely and excused himself to the restroom.
Je m'excuse.
You're unraveling.
Don't.
Don't what?
Don't care. It makes this harder.
I can't stop caring. Tell me what you want.
Antoine whispered. Julian opened his eyes, stared at him in the mirror, and said nothing. Because the truth was too big for a hotel bathroom, too big for this life. The return train was delayed. They waited on the platform, the sky threatening rain. Antoine shoved his hands in his pockets.
You barely said 10 words during lunch.
I wasn't hungry, and I had nothing to say.
That's not it.
Julian turned sharply.
You think you know everything about me.
Antoine's voice softened.
No, I just know your silences.
Julian swallowed. That was the problem. The train finally arrived. They found seats. The car was emptier than before. Only a scattering of passengers. Julien sat by the window again. Antoine sat beside him, even though there were plenty of open seats elsewhere. The train pulled forward, humming into motion. 20 minutes passed. Julien pretended to read. Antoine pretended to sleep. Neither believed the other. What was taken, what was left. The rocking of the train lulled Julien into a kind of trance. The landscape blurred into streaks of muted color. He drifted, not into sleep, but into memory. He thought of the drawer in his office. The letters, dozens of pages of words he had never meant anyone to read. His secret confessions, his unmailed truths. His longing poured onto paper. Guilt struck him like a sudden blow. He needed to burn them, destroy them, erase the proof of everything he felt for Antoine. He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, Antoine was looking at him. With a softness so devastating, Julien had to turn away. Home. The moment they stepped off the train in Paris, Antoine's phone buzzed. Julien watched him glance at the screen, watched the way his expression dimmed almost imperceptibly Elise. Antoine hesitated, then answered.
Hey, I'm back.
Julien tried not to listen, but the station echoed. He heard Elise's light laughter. He heard Antoine's gentle reply. He felt something inside him twist. Claire was waiting for him outside the station. She smiled, tired, warm, relieved.
Did everything go well?
She asked, leaning up to kiss his cheek.
Oh, it went productive. Well enough,
he said. Another small lie. Behind him, Antoine approached with his suitcase. Elise hugged him warmly. Antoine's hand rested on her back with a tenderness Julien wasn't prepared for. Julien looked away. He shouldn't hurt. He had no right to hurt. But he did. God, he did. The first thing Julien did when he got home was go to his office.
Oh my god, Julien, you're so stupid. Why would you write it down? You fool. Shit.
He sifted through papers, notebooks, folders, panic rising like a tide. Then he saw it. A single envelope placed neatly in the center of the desk. Not sealed, not folded deeply, just left on display, as though someone had read it and then set it aside with care. Julien's blood ran cold. This wasn't one of the old letters. This was new. The one he had written the week before. The one that began, Antoine, I don't know how to stand so close to you without falling apart. Claire had been in the office last night looking for a charger. He remembered now, her shadow in the doorway, her light footsteps. He sank into the chair, trembling. The letter was opened. Read and placed back. Not thrown away, not crumpled, not torn. Read, carefully, deliberately. Julien pressed a shaking hand to his mouth as the terrible realization hit. Claire knew, and she hadn't said a word.
Oh my god, she knows. Here's an end to my marriage, then. Damn it, Julien, you fool!
Claire didn't mention the letter that evening. Not during dinner. Not while loading the dishwasher. Not while the news hummed quietly in the living room. She acted almost normal. Almost. And that almost hollowed Julian out from the inside. He kept waiting for the moment. The moment she would say, "Who is he?" The moment she would ask, "Why?" But she didn't. Which was somehow worse. By 11:30, the weight of silence was unbearable. Julian stepped out onto the small balcony that overlooked the quiet street. The night was colder than expected. A stray breeze rustled the leaves of the potted rosemary plant Claire kept forgetting to water. Julian lit a cigarette. He hadn't smoked at home in years. The first drag steadied him just enough to remember how unsteady he was. Behind him, the sliding door opened. Claire stepped outside, wrapping a thin cardigan around her shoulders.
Those things will kill you, you know,
she said softly. Julian exhaled a trembling breath of smoke.
I know.
She leaned on the railing beside him, not close enough to touch, not distant enough to be indifferent. Just near. Julian's pulse climbed like a startled bird. The silence stretched. He couldn't take it anymore.
Claire,
he whispered.
I found something today.
Her eyes were fixed on the street below.
I know,
she said. He felt faint.
Why didn't you say anything?
She inhaled slowly, then exhaled through her nose.
I didn't know how.
Julian's throat tightened.
What did you read?
Claire rested both hands on the railing. Her fingers were pale in the moonlight.
I read enough, believe me,
she whispered. Julian's stomach turned.
Enough to know.
She shut her eyes.
Oh, Julian. Enough to know that your affections aren't for a woman.
Julian's breath broke. He closed his eyes. The wind pressed cold against his face, as if punishing him.
I'm sorry,
he said. Claire's shoulders trembled. Not quite a sob, not quite steady.
But why? For what exactly?
Julian stepped closer, but not too close.
For hurting you, for hiding, for not knowing how to control whatever this is.
Claire laughed softly, sharply.
Control? Oh, Julian. The way you write about him? Really?
She shook her head as if trying to clear it.
No, it wasn't something you were controlling.
Julian's chest felt too small for the ache inside it.
Claire, I swear, I never meant for you to.
I know,
she interrupted. Her voice was firm, kind, devastated. Julian's eyes stung. They stood in silence, side by side, air cold and heavy around them. The cigarette burned low between his fingers. Finally, Claire asked the question that had been hanging in the air like thunder.
Is it him?
Julian froze. No name, but she knew. And somehow life had split into two versions. One where he admitted it, one where he lied again. Julian closed his eyes. He whispered,
Yes.
Claire nodded once, very slowly, as though she had expected it, as though she had dreaded the confirmation anyway.
For how long?
She asked.
For quite a long time. Longer than I want to admit.
Claire looked up at him then, not angry, not betrayed in the conventional sense. Something gentler, more bewildered.
How did I miss it? How did I not understand?
You didn't,
Julian whispered.
I think you saw it, but you trusted me to handle it.
Her breath shook. Julian finally said the sentence he had feared most.
Claire, I love him.
Claire pressed her hand to her mouth. Not crying, just holding in something that wanted to spill out, something complicated and tender and painfully human.
And does he love you?
She asked. Julian swallowed.
Oh yes, he does.
Claire wasn't a dramatic woman. She didn't scream or throw things. She didn't accuse him of betrayal or demand impossible answers. She simply folded her arms and stared out at the empty street.
I thought you were unhappy, but I never imagined this.
Julian wanted to touch her shoulder. He didn't.
Can you forgive me?
He whispered. Claire shook her head gently.
I have no idea. I don't know yet.
Julian nodded, numb. She looked at him then, eyes shining with unshed tears.
So does this mean that you are leaving me for him?
Julian's breath stopped. He stepped back, stunned by the clarity of the question. It pierced through his ribs like a precise blade.
I don't know. Because I don't know what he wants, and I don't know what I'm capable of destroying. Dear Claire, we never meant for any of this to happen. We never meant to hurt anyone. So as much as it hurts to tell you this, my life isn't the same without Antoine. I can't pretend that it is.
Claire nodded slowly, holding herself together by what seemed like threads.
Then maybe you both should decide before this breaks all of us.
Julian felt tears sting his eyes. Her steadiness hurt more than anger ever could.
I never meant to hurt you,
he said again. Claire's voice softened.
I know. That's what makes it so difficult.
She touched his hand briefly, one last softness, then turned and went inside, closing the balcony door gently behind her. The cigarette burned to ash in Julian's hand. He didn't move. He felt the night closing in around him, thick and heavy. Somewhere across the city, he knew Antoine was awake too, feeling the same pull, the same dread, the same inevitable shift in the ground beneath them. Everything was breaking open now, and there was no going back. Julian barely slept, a few hours of fitful dozing at best, his mind replaying Claire's steady voice, her quiet composure, her final question.
So does this mean that you are leaving me for him?
By morning, the apartment felt different, Not broken, not hostile, just shifted, like furniture moved a few centimeters while you slept. Barely noticeable unless you knew every inch of the room. Claire didn't avoid him. But she didn't look at him long either. She moved through their home with careful grace, preparing breakfast, answering a few emails, pouring tea. Everything was normal. The world kept turning. That was what frightened him most. Julian stood in the kitchen doorway, unsure if he was permitted to enter his own life. Claire finally glanced at him.
Do you want coffee?
She asked. Her voice was soft, polite, devastating.
Yes, of course.
Julian managed. She poured him a cup, placed it across the table, not too close, as though proximity itself had become a question. Julian sat. Claire didn't lift her eyes as she spoke.
Julian, I don't want to make any decisions today if that's okay with you. We need to have time for this all to be processed.
Julian swallowed.
Oh yes, of course. Whatever you want.
I'm not sure how to talk about this without hurting you. And I don't want to say things I can't take back.
Julian nodded. He admired her for it, hated himself more for it.
If you need space, I'll give you whatever you need. I know all of this is such a shock.
Claire finally met his gaze. Her eyes were clear, deeply sad but steady with understanding.
I need honesty. I think we're past space.
Julian's throat tightened. He hoped she didn't see the tremor in his hands. At the same time, across the city, Elise was not a woman given to jealousy. She was not suspicious by nature nor prone to insecurity. But in the last few months, something had begun to trouble her. Little things. Things she tried not to acknowledge. The way Antoine's gaze drifted across dinner tables, not in boredom, not in frustration, but toward a singular person, as though the rest of the world blurred around him. The way he seemed present, but not anchored, in motion, but not at home. The way his voice softened when Julian spoke, almost imperceptibly. Almost. Elise brushed her hair slowly before the mirror.
I'm beautiful, I'm accomplished, I'm friendly when I need to be, I'm a good wife. Why he is not happy, je ne sais pas.
But love wasn't the problem. Recognition was. Because yesterday, when Antoine returned from Lyon, something in him had changed. He had gone still. A quiet, dangerous stillness, like a lake right before a storm breaks the surface. And this morning, when she kissed his cheek, he had closed his eyes with a tension she had never seen before. Not reluctance, not irritation, but something like fear. Fear of what he might do, or what he had already begun doing. Elise set her brush down. She walked into the hallway where Antoine was tying his shoes.
You're leaving early. Business must be booming.
Beaucoup travail, beaucoup de problèmes. C'est la vie.
She watched him closely. He didn't look at her. She stepped forward.
Antoine? Is something wrong?
His hands froze mid-motion. For a moment he didn't breathe. Then he gave a small, practiced smile.
No, just thinking.
Elise's heart pressed painfully against her ribs.
Thinking? About what? My God, tu es très occupé.
Antoine hesitated. Just long enough. Long enough for her to know, long enough to confirm what she had sensed.
Work. That's all I think about. Work.
She wanted to believe him. She tried to, but the truth, whatever it was, hung between them like a curtain drawn suddenly across a window. He kissed her forehead. His lips were warm. His eyes were elsewhere.
Have a good day.
Julian sat at his desk at work, staring blankly at spreadsheets that looked more like abstract art than numbers. His phone lay face down beside the keyboard. No message from Antoine. He didn't expect one. He expected nothing. but he wanted everything. Around noon he closed his office door, pulled out a notebook, touched the blank page the way one might touch a bruise. He didn't write. He couldn't. The memory of Claire's voice haunted every line he tried to form.
So does this mean that you are leaving me for him?
The truth was a question without an answer. He needed to see Antoine, not to start something, not to end something, but to understand the thing holding them both hostage. He reached for his phone, but before he could call, a soft knock sounded at his office door.
Monsieur Julien, you have a visitor.
C'est qui?
The assistant opened the door fully, and standing in the hallway was Elise, her face soft, her posture composed, but her eyes carried storms. Julian's heartbeat crashed into his ribs. He stood quickly.
Elise, wow, this is a surprise. Is everything all right?
She stepped into the office, closed the door behind her.
Julien, we need to talk.
Julian felt his stomach drop. He already knew. He could see it on her face. Elise had figured it out. Maybe not the details. Maybe not the nights outside hotel doors or the letters hidden in drawers. But enough. Enough to bring her here. Enough to end the fragile equilibrium the four of them had been clinging to. Julian opened his mouth, closed it. He tried again.
Okay. And what do you want to talk about?
Elise held his gaze with quiet, devastating clarity.
You know why I'm here. It will be useless to pretend otherwise,
she said. Her voice didn't shake. Her hands didn't tremble.
I need to know if my husband is in love with you. Because last I checked, he was married to me, but he can't keep his eyes off of you when we had dinner. He's far away, he's gone. And when he talks about you, mon Dieu, there is no one else in the world.
Julian's world tilted. Everything inside him went very still. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't lie. And he couldn't tell the truth without breaking them all. Elise stepped closer.
S'il vous plaît, no more pretending.
Julian felt tears threaten. He blinked them back and whispered,
Sit down. We should talk.
He had barely moved, barely breathed, since Elise asked the question that unmade the room. Is my husband in love with you? She sat across from him now, back straight, fingers intertwined tightly in her lap. She looked calm, but her eyes held something raw beneath the surface. Julian sat opposite her, unable to find a comfortable position. There was no comfortable position for a moment like this.
We never meant to hurt anyone.
Oh, I think that's already happening.
I'm sorry.
For what? What exactly are you apologizing for?
Julien.
Is Antoine in love with you?
I think so, yes.
And you? Are you in love with him?
Oui, je suis amoureux de Louis.
After a long, trembling silence, she lowered her hand and said, with a steadiness that broke his heart,
Do you know, I would have preferred an affair with a woman rather than this.
Me too.
This doesn't feel malicious. It feels like it grew when none of us were watching. For how long?
For quite a long time. But we've never done anything physical.
My God, in some ways that's even worse.
Julian closed his eyes. He knew she was right. Love without consummation was fire without oxygen. It didn't burn out. It just waited. A knock at the door made both of them flinch. Julian's heart slammed against his ribs. The door opened, and Antoine stepped inside. He froze when he saw Elise, then froze again when he saw Julien sitting across from her with red-rimmed eyes.
My God.
Hello to you too.
What are you doing here?
Oh, I know all about it.
Know what?
That you are in love with him.
Please.
No more lying.
He looked at Julien, eyes wide, the truth written openly in them now that it was too late to hide.
Julien, does she...
Yes.
I came here for answers, and I got them.
I never meant to hurt you.
I know, and that's what makes this so complicated.
Elise, I will always love you. But...
Don't say anything else, merde. I've heard enough. I need time, and both of you need to decide what this is. Please, don't lie to yourselves anymore.
The door closed quietly behind her. Antoine stood in the doorway, breathing like someone who had run a great distance Julien couldn't move. Antoine finally lifted his gaze.
Did you tell her?
She already knew.
Oh my God, Julien. What have we done?
We didn't mean for this to happen, but it did.
I'm so tired of pretending.
But Antoine, we can't.
Oh, Julien, tell me to stop.
I can't, because that wouldn't be truth. I want you too much to play games, Antoine.
Oof. I love you.
I know, and I love you too.
Antoine's hand slid to the back of Julien's neck, and then Antoine kissed him. Not violently, not hungrily, not desperately, but with a trembling, terrified tenderness that broke Julien open. A kiss full of years of restraint, a kiss shaped like truth, a kiss neither of them could take back. Julien gasped softly against Antoine's mouth. Antoine pressed closer, one hand gripping the desk beside Julien as though the world were collapsing beneath them. Julien's fingers curled into Antoine's shirt. The kiss deepened, slow, aching, devastating in its familiarity, as though their mouths had known each other in a life before this one. When they finally broke apart, both men were breathless, silent. The room spun. The world shattered. There was no going back.
I produce those intimate stories for restless hearts. Those ones that make you question everything and think. Those ones that make you sometimes wanna drink.
Welcome to another episode of the Amir McCoy Project audio drama podcast. I'm your host, Danielle. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Now we return to the story of Julian and Antoine as they begin to sort out their lives in a cozy hideaway across town. But like any lifestyle change, it simply won't be easy.
Antoine didn't go home. Not that night. Not after the kiss. Not after the truth burst open like a wound they couldn't pretend wasn't bleeding. Julia didn't go home either. He tried. He truly tried. He made it all the way to the elevator of his building, pressed the button for his floor, leaned against the mirrored wall, and felt his chest collapse. He saw Claire's face, her steadiness, her heartbreak, her plea for honesty. He saw himself walking inside, pretending to be a husband still capable of offering half a heart. He couldn't do it. He let the elevator climb, let it reach his floor, let the doors slide open. But he didn't step out. He pressed the button marked RDC, descended back to the lobby, and walked into the cold Paris night like a man fleeing his own ghost. He didn't text Antoine. He didn't call, he just walked. But he knew, down to his bones, where he was going. The place they never mentioned aloud. The apartment in Belleville wasn't theirs. Not really. It belonged to an old colleague of Julian's who had left for Marrakech for 6 months, leaving the keys with Julian, in case you ever want to get away from the noise. Julian had never used it, not once, not until now. He wasn't sure why this was the place he went, only that it was far enough from both their homes to feel like neutral ground, a place untouched by either life, a place for truths that didn't fit inside marriages or meetings or dinner parties. Julian climbed the stairs, 3 flights, narrow, uneven, creaking like old bones, and unlocked the door. The apartment was tiny, a single room with tall windows, a small balcony, a worn sofa, a narrow bed tucked behind a half-wall. Dust motes drifted through the air like suspended moments. Julian flipped on a lamp. Warm light spilled across the room, empty, silent, waiting. He sank onto the sofa, buried his face in his hands, and let out a sound halfway between a sob and an exhale. He didn't know how long he sat there. Long enough that when someone knocked, soft, hesitant, he knew it wasn't luck. Antoine stood in the doorway, eyes red, breath visible in the cold hallway.
You came.
Julian whispered. Antoine nodded.
So did you.
Julian swallowed.
How did you know where I'd be?
Antoine stepped inside, closing the door behind him.
Because this is where I would go.
Julien's breath trembled. Antoine walked toward him slowly, like approaching a wild animal afraid of being touched. But Julien wasn't afraid. He was undone, completely. The distance that disappeared. Antoine sat beside him on the sofa, close but not touching, not yet. The silence was thick, their breathing the only sound. Julien stared at the floor.
I kissed you,
he whispered. Though it was a lie, Antoine had kissed him first. But Julien had kissed back. Antoine's voice was rough.
We kissed each other.
Julien nodded, chest aching.
That wasn't supposed to happen, but it did.
Julien closed his eyes.
I don't want to hurt anyone. Not Claire, not Elise, and certainly not you.
Antoine exhaled sharply.
You are hurting all of us by pretending this isn't real.
Julien looked at him then. Really looked. Antoine's hair was a mess from the wind. His coat still dusted with cold air. His eyes tired, hopeful, terrified. Julien whispered.
I'm scared.
Antoine's voice softened.
I am too.
They looked at each other for a long, breathless moment. Then Antoine reached out. Slowly, gently, like he was touching something sacred. He placed 2 fingers beneath Julien's jaw, lifting his face with exquisite care.
Tell me to stop if you don't want this.
Antoine, I can't.
Because you are worried about how I will feel? Or because this is really how you feel about us?
I'm just afraid of what this might do. But it's fine, sweet man. Just fine.
Antoine closed his eyes for half a second. A prayer, a surrender, then leaned in and kissed him. This kiss was different. The first had been trembling and desperate. This one was slow, deep. The kind of kiss that made time slip, that made the room tilt, that made the world outside irrelevant. Julien's hand slid into Antoine's hair. Antoine cupped Julien's face with both hands. They breathed each other in like oxygen, like absolution. When the kiss broke, Julien was shaking.
Antoine,
he whispered. Antoine rested his forehead against Julien's.
We don't have to do anything else. Not tonight. Not ever. Just be here with me.
Julien nearly collapsed from relief, from longing, from the overwhelming rightness of being seen and wanted exactly as he was. He spoke the words he'd been holding back for months.
I've missed you, even though you were in the same room.
Antoine let out a broken laugh, full of ache.
Oh God, me too.
They sat like that, foreheads touching, breaths mingling, for a very long time. The first night, they didn't sleep together, not in the way that could be mistaken for conquest or escape. They simply lay on the narrow bed, fully clothed, facing each other in the lamplight. Antoine's hand rested lightly on Julien's waist. Julien's hand rested over Antoine's heartbeat. It was steady, warm, alive. Antoine whispered,
If this is all we ever do, just this, it would still be worth everything.
Julien felt tears slip silently onto the pillow.
I don't know what happens now,
he breathed. Antoine nodded.
I don't either.
But he brushed Julien's hair from his forehead and added,
But I know I'm not letting you face it alone.
Julien closed his eyes for the first time in months. He slept without nightmares. And when dawn crept softly through the windows of the small Belleville apartment, their hands were still intertwined. returned to their separate homes before sunrise. It wasn't planned. It wasn't discussed. They simply woke in the pre-dawn hush, hands still linked, hearts still beating in the same unsteady rhythm, and knew they couldn't stay. Julian sat up first. The room spun lightly from sleep, from emotion, from the enormity of what had happened. Antoine watched him, eyes still soft from the night.
Is it morning already?
He whispered. Julian nodded.
Oui, mon cher, c'est le matin.
Antoine sat up beside him, rubbing the back of his neck. For a moment they said nothing. Then quietly,
Do you regret anything?
Non, mon amour, pas du tout.
Moi non plus.
They dressed in silence. Not the cold, awkward silence of wrongdoing, but the kind that comes after truth. A fragile, sacred quiet. Before they left, Antoine reached for Julien's hand.
Jusqu'à ce soir, mon amour?
He asked softly. Julian hesitated, then nodded.
Oui, bien sûr, mon amour.
He entered the apartment quietly. Claire was awake, sitting at the kitchen table in her robe, hands wrapped around a mug of tea gone cold. She looked at him, not angry, not relieved, just bracing.
You didn't come home last night.
Julian swallowed.
I'm sorry.
Claire nodded, absorbing the apology like water on stone.
Where were you?
He opened his mouth, closed it. Honesty. She had asked for honesty.
I needed some space, and I needed to think.
Claire didn't cry. She looked tired in a way Julian had never seen before, a quiet, bone-deep tiredness that said she already knew the shape of this ending.
You're going to him.
Julian closed his eyes.
I don't know.
Claire didn't answer. She just stood, walked past him, and went upstairs to dress for the day he had never felt smaller. Antoine Elise was sitting on the sofa when he walked in. Still in pajamas, hair unbrushed, legs tucked under her, she held a glass of water in one hand. Not crying, not furious, just waiting. When she saw him, her lips parted slightly.
You didn't come home last night. You must have found somewhere more enjoyable to spend it.
Antoine set down his keys.
I'm so sorry.
Elise nodded slowly, as though confirming something she had already guessed.
Let me guess. Was it Julien? Were you with him?
Antoine closed his eyes. He couldn't lie. Not now.
Oui, j'étais avec lui.
She inhaled sharply, shoulders trembling. But no tears.
I need to know if you've decided.
Antoine shook his head helplessly.
I don't want to hurt you.
Elise pressed a hand to her chest, as if steadying the organ beneath.
Antoine, believe me, you already are. Just fucking get it over with. If you want to leave, leave. That way I don't have to sit across the table from someone who isn't here with me.
He took a step toward her. She took a step back.
Please, don't.
Antoine's hand dropped.
I'm sorry.
Elise let out a quiet, broken exhale.
Oui, oui, okay. Je comprends. Whatever.
During the day, they both went to work as though nothing had happened. Julian sat in meetings he didn't hear. Antoine fielded emails he didn't read. Their colleagues noticed the tension, but chalked it up to deadlines, pressure, exhaustion. No one guessed the truth. Julian caught himself staring at his phone more times than he could count. Antoine texted him once. "Are you all right?" Julian stared at the message for a full minute before replying. "No. You?" Antoine responded. "No. Meet me tonight. Please." Julian typed back, "Yes." And that tiny word kept him functioning for the rest of the day. They met again at the Belleville apartment after dark. Julien stood at the window looking down at the street lights glowing amber in the rain. His coat was still damp. His hair clung to his forehead. The keys jingled softly as Antoine let himself in. When Julien turned, their eyes met. And everything inside him tightened with the force of wanting and guilt and relief. Antoine closed the door behind him. He didn't speak. Julien didn't either. Antoine crossed the small room and stopped inches in front of him, breathing hard. Soaked from the rain, Julien reached out tentatively. Antoine caught his hand and murmured,
Mon beau.
Oui, c'est moi, mon amour.
Antoine pressed his forehead against Julien's, breath shuddering. Julien exhaled a tremor that felt like surrender. A new pattern. Over the next week they carved out a rhythm. Not planned, not spoken. A quiet, desperate pattern held together by the frayed threads of their unraveling lives. Mornings, they lived their other lives. Breakfasts with their wives, work, polite conversations, pretending not to be splitting in 2 afternoons. They texted just enough to survive the separation. Evenings they drifted always to Belleville, where they shed the weight of the day and found the version of themselves they couldn't show anyone else. They didn't rush toward intimacy. They didn't rush toward decisions. They simply existed together in that stolen space, holding each other on the narrow sofa, talking quietly, kissing like the world outside wasn't coming apart, but the world was coming apart. And they both felt it, the tension, the guilt, the quiet devastation growing in the corners of their marriages like mold. Every night when Julien left, he whispered,
I really should stop.
And every night, Antoine whispered back,
I'll stop when you tell me you don't love me.
Julien never said it, and so they never stopped. The cracks in the arrangement. It couldn't last. They both knew it. Too many lies, too many nights away, too many truths Claire and Elise could feel even without hearing. And one evening, one cold, wind-whipped evening in Belleville, as Julien lay with his head on Antoine's chest, listening to the slow rise and fall of his breath, Antoine whispered,
We can't keep doing this.
Julien went rigid. He lifted his head.
What do you mean?
Antoine swallowed.
This half-life, this borrowed joy, this hiding.
Julien looked down.
I know.
Silence. Rain tapped gently on the balcony railing. Antoine ran a hand through Julien's hair, a gesture too tender for secrecy.
I want you, dear Julien, but I don't want to be your escape.
Julien's voice was barely audible.
But you're not.
Antoine shook his head.
Then, what am I?
Julien's breath stuttered.
T'es ma vie, mon cher.
Antoine closed his eyes.
Then choose me,
he said. Julien froze. His heart pounded painfully.
Antoine, I don't know how.
Antoine's eyes filled, not with anger, but with heartbreak.
Is this what you really want? Because I can promise you that our wives aren't going to put up with this shit for too much longer.
Julien felt the world tilt beneath them because he knew. Antoine was right, and their secret refuge in Belleville would not protect them much longer. Not from their wives, not from themselves, not from the truth they'd unleashed. Everything was coming to a breaking point. Tonight was the first crack. Antoine's words lingered in the air long after he spoke them, as if the walls themselves were weighing their meaning.
Then choose me.
Julien lay beside him, breath shallow, heart pounding against the cage of his ribs. He felt the gravity of that request settle over him like a new kind of silence, heavier, deeper, capable of shifting the axis of both their lives. He pushed up on an elbow.
Antoine, you're asking me to do something that's impossible.
No, Julien, I'm not asking you to do something impossible. You need to decide where you want to be, though. I know it's not easy. Nothing ever is. But I've always been crazy about you, and for me, that hasn't changed. For me, I want to see the sun rise and wake up with you in the morning. I want to watch the sunset with you when evening falls. If that's not what you want, please tell me.
It's not that simple.
Oh, but it is, my love. For me, it is. Listen to me. Don't misunderstand. I'm not forcing you to move in with me right away or to get married to me, but I want us to live honestly.
If someone obligates you to love them or to do anything before you're ready, it never really works out in the end. Yes, you can stay and will stay some of the time, but there's always some resentment, so that any flame you felt for them suddenly goes out. They don't think it's wrong, but you know it is. I don't want you like that, sweetheart.
Look at me. I'm not asking you to break everything all at once. I'm asking you to admit to yourself what you already know.
I know.
That we're in love. That this hiding, this sneaking away, this trying to exist in two lives is tearing us apart.
Antoine's eyes were red-rimmed from exhaustion or longing or both. His curls were mussed from lying in the narrow bed, his shirt still wrinkled from earlier, his entire posture one of quiet desperation and fierce, fragile hope.
What do you want me to say?
Tell me you want me, and that you want a life with me. Say you want more than just a stolen night. Say you want us. Because I do, Julien. I want you in the morning light, not just in the dark.
You want the impossible.
Julien looked down, his hand clenched in the blanket. Antoine reached out, gently unfolding Julien's fingers with his own.
No, I want courage.
But you don't understand. I have responsibilities, a home, a marriage I promised to protect.
So did I. And look where we are.
That's not a justification.
No, it's not. It's a reality. You love Claire, and I know that. But people can love more than one person. That doesn't make you a monster.
I know, but acting on it does. You think I don't ache for you? That I don't feel this pull every second of every day? You think I don't imagine a life with you? I do. I think about it constantly.
Then what are you so afraid of?
Julien's knees weakened. He clutched Antoine's wrists.
That I will destroy her.
And what about you? Are you willing to destroy yourself to protect her? You are drowning, Julien. And I'm not asking you to swim to me. I'm asking you to stop pretending you're not underwater.
If you want me to just fall into your arms and choose you without reservations, I can't do it.
Tell me you don't love me, and I'll believe you. Tell me you don't love me, and I swear to God, I will walk out that door tonight, and I will leave you alone. I'll disappear from your life if that's what you need.
I can't.
Then choose me, so we can have a life together and love each other honestly.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified of ruining everything.
Mon amour, you won't ruin everything. You lose something, yes. Maybe something important. Maybe something beautiful. But you'll gain a life that fits the truth of who you really are.
And if Claire can't forgive me?
Then you will grieve that love, and I will grieve it with you. But if you stay halfway between her and me, we will all lose you, and I can't watch you disappear. Julian, I am not giving you an ultimatum out of anger. I am giving you one because I love you more than I can express. You don't need to choose tonight. You don't need to choose tomorrow. But you do need to choose. You can't keep breaking all of us with your silence.
I don't know how to choose.
Then let the truth choose you. I'm giving you time, but not forever.
Julian finally lifted his eyes. Antoine held his gaze with unwavering softness. Antoine wasn't shouting. He wasn't demanding. He wasn't asking Julian to burn his life down. He was asking him to stop living in ashes. And Julian knew, in the marrow of his bones, that this wasn't a threat. It was a mercy. There are nights in a life that do not come softly. They arrive like storms, without mercy, without pause, without offering anything but truth. This was one of those nights. Julian felt it before anything happened, a shift in the air, a heaviness in the chest, a sense that the delicate balance he had been trying so desperately to maintain had finally begun to collapse under its own weight. He returned home from work later than usual. The apartment was too quiet, the kind of quiet that warned. Claire was in the living room, sitting on the edge of the armchair, hands folded neatly in her lap. She looked calm, composed, beautiful in the way heartbreak sometimes makes a person incandescent.
Julian, we need to talk.
His stomach dropped. The words that end marriages, or save them, or expose everything in between. He set his coat down. He didn't sit. He couldn't.
What is it?
Claire looked at him for a long moment. Then she said softly,
I went to see Antoine's wife today.
Julian blinked. The world tilted under his feet. The room felt suddenly too small, too sharp, too bright.
Claire, what do you mean?
Claire inhaled carefully. Her hands were steady.
I called her this afternoon. I needed to hear from someone who understands the other side of this. Someone who knows what it feels like to sense the truth without wanting to believe it.
Julian felt his pulse in his throat. His knees weakened.
My God, what did she say?
Claire held his gaze.
She said that she can feel him slipping away from her, the same way I can feel you slipping away from me.
Julian sat down slowly, because standing hurt too much.
But Claire,
She raised a hand.
Please don't lie. Not tonight, Julian. Just tell the truth. It will be much easier for all of us.
Julian's chest constricted. He whispered,
I'm not lying.
Claire nodded.
Good. Then tell me the truth.
Silence. Painful. Suffocating. Necessary. Julian looked down at his hands. He tried to speak. He couldn't. Claire's voice remained gentle. There were no more secrets. Not between them, not now, not ever again. At the same time, across the city, Elise stood in the doorway of their bedroom, watching Antoine pack a small overnight bag. He hadn't meant for her to see, but he wasn't hiding it well.
It's late. I wonder where you are headed at this time of night.
She asked. Antoine froze. The motion of folding a shirt stilled in his hands.
I just need the night to think.
Elise took a single step into the room.
Mais non, try again, because that's not where you are going.
Antoine closed his eyes. Elise waited.
Elise, I don't want to make this any harder than it is for you.
She swallowed hard.
But you already are, by lying.
He put the shirt down. Then he sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders slumped, hands clasped like a man bracing for impact.
Please.
Oh, what? Because I ask you where you're going? Well, shit, sorry. Just be honest with me. Are you going to see him?
Antoine lifted his eyes. And the truth, raw, painful, helpless, was right there.
Yes.
Elise nodded once, just once. It was the kind of gesture that ends things.
Then go! Antoine, I don't want to see you pretend. Not anymore.
I'm so sorry. I wish I had known sooner. I know you don't deserve this.
Antoine stood slowly, chest tight with grief.
Believe me, so am I. So am I.
Back at Julien's, Julien had moved to sit on the sofa. Claire sat beside him, but not close, not touching. Her voice was soft, almost tender.
But I've known it, even for longer than you have, or at least for longer than you were able to admit it to yourself.
Julien blinked.
What do you mean?
Claire's eyes glistened.
The way you talked about him, the way you looked at him with such desire, the way you tried not to look at him. I didn't want to believe it. I tried to justify it in my head, but every time he entered a room, something in you changed. But I was willing to lie to myself. I thought, no way. We're married with 2 kids. It couldn't be that way.
Julien felt tears. Well,
I'm sorry.
Oh, I believe you. But loving me the way you used to, I think that part of you has already left.
I know you don't deserve this. And I'm sorry.
I know, but here we are. And I'm not so selfish that I would want you to stay if you aren't happy. So go. This life is short. Don't waste your time. Don't waste time being someone you really are not.
Silence again. And then her voice softened even further, so much that it broke him completely.
Julien, go find him.
He lifted his head, stunned.
What?
Go find him. It's obvious you're not here. Not really. You're somewhere else, with someone else. And maybe I can accept that, but I can't live with your ghost.
Julien's breath shattered. Claire stood.
You need to understand this. If you walk out that door to him tonight, our marriage changes.
Julien stood slowly. He felt the weight of years, of vows, memories, shared life, pressing against his chest.
I don't know what I'm choosing.
Claire nodded, tears finally falling.
That may very well be. But the choice is choosing you.
Julien's breath trembled, and in that moment, with unbearable clarity, he knew he couldn't stay. Not tonight. Not in this version of his life. He stepped forward. Claire didn't stop him. She didn't move. When he reached the doorway, she spoke one last time.
Julien, don't lie to me again. When you do that, you only break both of our hearts all over again.
I won't. My God, I won't.
Then he left. The Belleville apartment. Antoine was already there, standing by the window, hands in his pockets. rain soaking his hair and coat, looking out at the quiet night like he had been waiting for hours. When Julien opened the door, Antoine turned. Their eyes met. It wasn't relief. It wasn't joy. It was something deeper, something exhausted, terrified, and full of love. Julien stepped inside. Antoine swallowed.
You came.
Julien nodded, breath uneven.
So did you.
A pause. Then Antoine asked, softly, carefully, afraid of the answer.
What happened?
Claire knows.
Antoine's breath caught.
So does Elise,
he said in return. They stared at each other, the full weight of consequence settling around them like nightfall. Everything was burning. Everything was falling apart. And yet, in the wreckage, in the truth, in the trembling quiet, they crossed the room to each other. Julien reached out. Antoine caught his hand. And they stood there, foreheads touching, breathing the same fragile air. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. This moment was the point of no return. And they had reached it together. Morning came softly to Belleville, pale light spilling into the apartment like a question neither man wanted to answer. Julien woke first, not abruptly, not startled. He woke the way a person wakes after a long illness, slowly, cautiously, unsure if the world is safe again. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then he felt the warmth of Antoine's hand loosely draped across his waist. He felt the soft rise and fall of breath beside him. He felt the quiet, lingering ache of everything that had happened the night before. And he remembered. Julien turned slightly, just enough to see Antoine sleeping beside him, curls mussed, lashes still damp from tears, face softened into something unguarded and heartbreakingly tender. It was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. And the most terrifying. He lay still, watching Antoine breathe, letting the silence wrap around them like a fragile cocoon. The kind of silence that belonged to two people who had stepped out of one world and into another. The first words of the new day. Antoine stirred his hand, slid gently against Julien's shirt, fingers curling slightly as if looking for something familiar. Julien whispered,
"Good morning."
Antoine's eyes fluttered open. He blinked. disoriented, then focused on Julien, and a soft, aching smile touched his lips.
My God, it's morning already?
He murmured, voice thick with sleep. Julien nodded.
Yes.
Antoine ran a hand through his hair and exhaled.
This feels unreal,
he said softly.
What happened last night feels like it happened in another lifetime.
Julien swallowed.
It does feel that way a bit.
Antoine shifted to his side, facing him fully.
Are you okay?
He asked. Julien didn't answer immediately. He searched for the truth instead.
I don't know. It feels like I've lost something and gained something at the same time. I'm not sure what comes next.
Antoine nodded slowly, eyes warm and full of a grief that wasn't selfish.
I feel the same way.
They lay there in silence for a moment.
Claire didn't cry. Not at first. She just looked at me, like she already knew our ending before I did.
Antoine reached for his hand.
Annalise, she didn't scream. She didn't even blame me. She just let me go.
Julien felt tears rise.
We're hurting good people,
he whispered. Antoine nodded.
I know. We can't undo anything. But what we can do is decide what we do next.
Silence again. The heavy, necessary kind. Julien looked out the window. Paris was beginning to stir. Bakeries opening, scooters buzzing past, the smell of warm bread drifting upward. He had never felt so far from ordinary life. Breakfast in another life. They moved slowly, showering in silence, dressing without words, washing their faces like men unsure of their reflections. Antoine brewed coffee in a pot, so old it sputtered. Julien found 2 mismatched mugs in the cabinet. They stood at the counter, sipping in the soft quiet. Antoine finally spoke.
I'm staying with a friend for now. Not with Elise. I don't want to confuse her or myself.
Julien nodded.
Yeah, I'll stay somewhere else also. That's probably for the best. I can't keep hurting Claire by being in the same house and not really being there.
Antoine stared into his mug.
Are you telling her everything?
Julien's breath trembled.
I don't know.
Antoine's voice softened.
You don't have to tell her everything. Only what's necessary in order to be kind, but not cruel.
Julien looked at him with deep gratitude. Antoine always knew the difference. They left the apartment around noon, not holding hands, not touching. Just walking side by side through Belleville's quiet side streets, past graffiti-splashed walls and small cafes, past lives that had nothing to do with theirs.
Do you regret last night?
Antoine asked suddenly. Julien stopped walking. He turned to him.
Oh no, never that.
Antoine's shoulders slackened with relief.
But I'm grieving everything it's going to cost.
Antoine nodded.
Me too.
I don't want to lose Claire.
And I don't want to lose Elise either. But I can't go back to my former life. Even if my future isn't with you, I'm not straight. I've known that for a while now.
I can't either.
They resumed walking, slowly, carefully, as though each step carried weight. And later that afternoon, Julien called Claire. His hands shook the entire time. She answered on the second ring.
Are you safe?
She asked. Her voice was steady, warm, devastating.
Yes, I'm safe,
he whispered.
Good. Take the time you need.
He exhaled shakily.
Thank you,
he whispered. There was a pause.
I love you. That much hasn't changed. But everything else has.
His heart ached severely.
I'm so sorry, Claire.
I know we'll talk when we're ready.
And she hung up. Julien held the phone to his chest. Antoine watched from the doorway, eyes full of quiet empathy. Then he received a text from Elise. "I'm staying at my sister's for now. I need time. Please take care of yourself, and take care of him." Antoine's breath broke. Their wives were not villains. They were casualties, and that truth hurt more than any shame. The first quiet hour. That evening, Julien and Antoine returned to the Belleville apartment. Not as adulterers, not as cowards, not as men hiding from their lives, but as men facing the truth together. Julien sat on the sofa, staring at his hands. Antoine sat beside him, close enough that their knees brushed. He took Julien's hand and whispered,
"We are still here."
Julien lifted his eyes.
"Yes, baby, we are. And now?"
Antoine rested his head against Julien's shoulder.
"And now we breathe. We grieve, we hurt, we heal, and we figure it out."
Julien felt a tremor of relief. For the first time in years, he wasn't carrying his heart alone. They sat that way for a long time, in the quiet hours after the storm, holding on to the smallest, most fragile truth. That love could survive the wreckage. Maybe not easily, maybe not unscathed, but honestly, and that was enough for now. A week passed, a long, heavy, suspended week. Not dramatic, not explosive. Just a stretch of quiet days filled with conversations no one wanted to have, silences no one could avoid, and the soft ache of new realities settling in. Julien spent the first few nights alternating between the Belleville apartment and a small room he rented near République. He didn't want to impose on Antoine's friend. He didn't want to haunt Claire's house. He didn't know where he belonged. Antoine, too, drifted between his friend's spare room and long, restless walks through the Marais. Elise was staying with her sister, giving him space even as she tried to mend her own heart. They weren't hiding anymore, but they weren't together either. Not fully. Not yet. There was a strange peace to those days, the peace that follows confession, when the truth has finally burned away the lies, leaving behind only what is real. And then slowly, life began to move again. A meeting not by accident. It was a bright afternoon when Julien found himself walking toward Rue de Bretagne, hands buried in the pockets of his coat, mind drifting. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept well. Everything felt both too heavy and too light. Ahead he saw Antoine standing outside a small café, reading a message on his phone. The sunlight caught his hair, his jacket, the slope of his shoulders. Julien paused. Antoine wasn't expecting him. This wasn't planned. But something about seeing him in the daylight, not in a hidden apartment, not in the shadows of secrecy, struck Julien with a quiet, powerful tenderness. Antoine looked up, saw him, stopped breathing for half a second.
Julien?
He said softly. Julien stepped closer.
Hi,
he whispered, unable to fully smile, unable to look away. Antoine's expression warmed into something gentle, something relieved.
You look better,
he said. Julien let out a small, disbelieving breath.
That's generous.
Antoine shook his head.
No, it's true.
Julien didn't respond. He couldn't trust his voice. Coffee. Between new lives, they went inside the cafe, quiet, sunlit, smelling of warm pastries and brewing espresso. They chose a table near the window, not in a corner, not hidden, just two men sitting together. For the first time, that alone felt revolutionary. The waitress brought coffee. Julien traced the rim of the mug with a thumb, gathering words. Antoine watched him with the patience of someone who understood how hard those words were to form. Finally, Julien spoke.
Claire and I talked last night,
he said quietly. Antoine's shoulders tensed slightly.
And?
He asked gently. Julien looked down.
She wants space. Real space. Time apart. She's not making promises. She's not giving up either.
Antoine nodded slowly.
And how do you feel about that?
Julien's throat tightened.
I feel like I'm grieving a life I loved, but also a life that doesn't fit me anymore.
Antoine looked at him with quiet empathy.
That's okay. Loss and clarity often arrive with one another.
Julien took a breath that caught at the edges.
And Elise?
He asked softly. Antoine's fingers tightened around his mug.
She doesn't hate me, but she doesn't know who I am anymore.
Julien nodded.
And do you?
He asked.
No, not entirely, but I know who I'm becoming.
He reached across the table, hesitant but brave, and rested the tips of his fingers on Julien's not a full hand. Not yet. Just a touch. A promise wrapped in restraint. Julien's breath faltered. The sun warmed their hands. No one stared, no one judged. For the first time, Julien didn't feel like he was disappearing into shadows to be with him. He felt seen. After coffee, they walked together through the narrow streets of the Haut Marais, past boulangeries with open doors, past knit shops and florists, past people who didn't know or care who loved whom. They didn't touch, not openly, but their shoulders brushed occasionally, lightly, and each brush felt like a spark. Not the frantic, desperate kind from before, but something tender and steady, a new beginning. At one point, Julien stopped to look at a storefront window filled with old photographs. Antoine stood behind him, quietly close. Julien spoke without turning.
Do you think we can do this?
His voice was soft, scared.
Do what?
Antoine asked.
Live a life. Not a secret, not a lie, but a life.
Antoine exhaled and then...
I think we are already starting.
Julien finally turned to face him. Antoine was looking at him with a calm, honest strength Julien had always admired.
We can move slowly. No pressure, no deadlines, no false conditions that will hurt us. Just step by step, with your hand in mine, my hand in yours.
Julien's eyes warmed.
We have both been burned by commanded love, by the show that society and our families expected us to put on. So, while I am in a hurry for a life with you, I think we should take our time. When we love, we will really love, with our whole hearts.
That's all I can handle.
That's all I want.
A small, beautiful moment. A few blocks later, as the shadows lengthened and the day began to slip into evening, they stopped at a crosswalk. A breeze lifted Julien's hair. Antoine watched him with an expression that felt like a hand on his heart. Julien noticed.
What?
He asked softly. Antoine's smile deepened.
You are so handsome.
Julien shook his head with a soft laugh.
But I feel terrified.
I didn't say you were free of fear.
Julien's chest filled with something warm and aching. When the light changed and they stepped into the street, Antoine reached out, not for Julien's hand, but for his sleeve, a small, quiet gesture of closeness. Julien didn't pull away. They walked together like that until they reached the Belleville apartment again, the sky above them soft with the muted gold of late afternoon. It wasn't everything. Not yet. But it was something real. Something beginning. Something earned. Time does not heal quickly, but it does move. And over the next 2 weeks, Julien felt that movement. Slow, delicate, the way winter gives way to early spring. A degree at a time, he and Claire spoke often, not every day, not always easily, but honestly. Some nights they sat on opposite ends of the couch and talked until their voices were hoarse. Other nights they texted simple things. Are you okay? Try to sleep. I made dinner, leftovers in the fridge if you want some. There was sadness, there was grief. There was love still, but shifted, changed, transforming into something neither of them had expected. And through it all, Antoine was patient. He never pushed, never demanded, never imposed. He walked with Julien through parks, sat beside him in cafes, held him quietly in the Belleville apartment when Julien couldn't speak. It was not a secret affair any more. It was a love surviving the ruins, a love finding shape. Julien had spent a lifetime making decisions based on what was expected of him, what was right, what was safe, what would preserve the world he'd built. But now, standing in the middle of his own unfinished story, he realized something stark and simple. He did not want to live half a life, and he did not want to love halfway either. One soft morning, as sunlight broke through the blinds of his rented room near République, he found himself whispering aloud,
"What if I let myself be fully myself?"
The question trembled in the air like a fragile truth. He didn't push it aside. He didn't bury it. He let it sit beside him, stayed with it. And by the time the sun shifted across the floorboards, he knew what he wanted. He knew who he wanted. He knew the shape of the life he could finally choose. It wasn't about abandoning Claire, or betraying her, or erasing the years they'd shared. It was about allowing them both to be whole, and allowing himself to stop breaking apart. He took a deep breath, and then he called Antoine. They met on Rue de Bretagne, exactly where they'd seen each other under the bright winter sun. The air was crisp, scented faintly with roasting almonds from a nearby vendor. Antoine saw him, and his entire expression shifted. Softening, brightening, filling with warmth he didn't try to hide.
Julien,
he said, breath visible in the cold. Julien approached him slowly. Antoine reached out instinctively, not to touch, but as if catching someone who might collapse.
Are you okay?
Julien nodded.
Yes, Antoine. I'm all right. Not because everything is perfect, but because I finally know what I want.
Antoine froze. The world around them continued. Chatter, footsteps, a bicycle bell ringing. But for Julien, everything else went still. He stepped closer. So close, Antoine drew in a sharp breath.
Antoine, I choose you.
Antoine's eyes filled immediately. He touched Julien's face with both hands. Not a dramatic gesture, but a careful one, as if Julien were made of something precious and breakable.
Oh, mon cher. Say it again.
I choose you,
Julien repeated, voice steady, sure, warm. Antoine closed his eyes for a moment, tears slipping down his lashes. When he opened them, Julien felt the entire weight of those months, years, fall away. Antoine pulled him into a tight, shuddering embrace right there on the street, sunlight warming their backs, the world passing by but not intruding. Julien held him with equal force, burying his face in Antoine's shoulder, breathing him in.
Ma vie.
Je t'aime.
When they finally parted enough to look at each other, Antoine whispered,
What about Claire?
Julien's eyes softened.
We're going to separate gently. Kindly, with time, with respect. But our marriage is over. I loved her very much, but that's in my past now.
Antoine swallowed hard, voice barely a whisper.
And Elise?
Julien brushed a thumb across Antoine's cheek.
She wants me to take care of you. And I will.
Antoine kissed his palm.
Julien, you have no idea what this means to me.
Julien leaned in, their noses brushing, their foreheads touching.
Yes, I do.
They stood like that in the gentle afternoon light, two men who had finally stopped running, not from truth, not from fear, not from themselves. And when Antoine kissed him, slow, reverent, full of gratitude, Julien kissed him back with a love that wasn't stolen anymore. It belonged to both of them, honestly, openly, fully. A different kind of homecoming. Later they walked hand in hand, not hiding, not rushing, not afraid, toward the Belleville apartment that had once held their secrets. Now it held their beginning. Julien paused at the door. Antoine watched him, patient.
Are you ready?
He asked softly. Julien nodded. He opened the door and stepped inside, not as a man split in two, but as a man finally whole. The gentle light filled the room, and something new, something real began.
We're climbing the walls, we know they're not too tall. We're gonna break out of here, gonna erase our fear. We don't care about the past, because we know it won't last. In our eyes there is such hope, because we know that we can cope. We're gonna run straight out of here, gonna love until we're sure that our hearts have found a way the fake life behind, going somewhere more kind, where we can love who we want to love. We've waited for this day for a long time. We both deserve to stand in the sunshine. Stand in the sunshine.
One year later, the light in Paris had a peculiar tenderness in early spring. Soft, golden, warm enough to promise change, yet cool enough to keep the world calm. It was the kind of light Julian always loved, the kind of light that used to make him ache. Now it made him feel steady. Julian climbed the familiar stairs to the Belleville apartment, 3 flights of old wood creaking beneath his feet. He paused at the landing, inhaled the scent of rain on stone, and unlocked the door. The room greeted him like an old friend. Tall windows cracked open to the street below, the sofa with worn cushions, the narrow bed behind the half wall, dusty sunlight drifting in lazy currents. Nothing essential had changed, except him, except everything. Julian walked to the window. A year had passed since the night everything burned, since the last lie fell, since he chose the truth, the man, the life that had terrified him and saved him in equal measure. He heard a key in the door. Antoine entered, carrying a bottle of wine and a small bouquet of white tulips, Claire's favorite. He still bought them sometimes, not out of guilt, but out of gratitude. Antoine smiled when he saw Julien.
"You're early,"
he said, setting the flowers in the old glass jar that served as a vase. Julien stepped toward him.
"You are too."
They met in the middle of the room, without hesitation, without secrecy, without fear. Antoine wrapped an arm around Julien's waist and kissed him, slow, warm, familiar, like the first deep breath after a long-held one. Julien melted into him with the assurance of someone who had finally stopped bracing for loss.
"How was your day?"
Good. Tiring, but good.
Antoine brushed a thumb across Julien's jaw.
Claire called. She and I are really all right.
Antoine's smile warmed.
"And Elise and I talked last week. She met someone."
Julien's eyes brightened.
That's wonderful.
Antoine nodded. For the first time, it didn't hurt. They stood there for a moment, letting this quiet joy wash through the room. Joy not born of passion or urgency, but of healing. The return to the beginning. Antoine walked to the window, staring out into the soft Paris afternoon.
"Do you remember the first night here?"
How could I forget?
"You were terrified,"
Antoine said, smiling at the memory.
So were you.
Antoine laughed under his breath.
"We were both pretending we weren't."
Julien rested his hand on the windowsill, fingers brushing Antoine's.
And now?
Antoine thought for a moment.
Now, this room doesn't feel like our escape. It feels like our beginning.
Julien felt his heart swell, warm and steady. He leaned against Antoine, who pulled him close, pressing a soft kiss to the side of his head.
I'm glad we survived it.
Antoine tightened his hold.
We didn't just survive. We built something.
Julien looked around the room. Yes, they had. Not a secret. Not a refuge. Not a hiding place, but a home for the truth. A home for love that had been forged in fire and held together by choice. every single day. The last light. As the sun dipped lower, casting warm amber across their faces, Antoine turned Julien gently toward him.
"I love you,"
he said. A simple sentence that no longer felt like a confession or a risk or a plea. It felt like life. Julien cupped Antoine's face with both hands and whispered,
"I love you too."
Then, with the golden light spilling around them, they kissed, slow and certain, the kind of kiss that felt like a chapter closing softly, and another beginning without fear. The city murmured outside. A bird landed on the balcony railing. A breeze lifted the curtains. And in the quiet glow of the Belleville afternoon, they held each other the way two people do when they know they have finally come home.
You've been listening to AJ, an audio drama by the Amira McCoy Project. We hope you have enjoyed this program. If you have, please feel free to subscribe and share. Produced by Kayla King Productions, LLC. Thank you so much for listening.
We don't care about the past because we know it won't last. In our eyes there is such hope because we know that we can cope. We're gonna run straight out of here, gonna love until we're sure that our hearts have found a way. We're leaving the fake life behind, going somewhere more kind, where we can love who we want to love. We've waited for this day for a long time. We both deserve to stand in the sunshine. Ooh, stand in the sunshine. Breaking the chains, we're leaving behind shame, trading them in for the genuine. We don't believe in fake love, we don't say I do just because we kiss under stars above, showing each other so much love. We're gonna run straight out of here, gonna love until we're sure that our hearts have found a way. We're leaving the fake life behind, going somewhere more kind, where we can love who we want to love. We've waited for this day for a long time. We both deserve to stand in the sunshine.